Okay, I'm back to do a little more work on the Bobbsey Twins journal. I have my camera situated a little differently. I don't know how we'll like this angle, but we'll give it a shot. It's not quite so close to me, so hopefully I can work without bumping it. What I'm going to do next is make a pocket on 3 of the signature pages out of the bead sack fabric, and we'll do the pocket together, at least one of them, and I'll show you what I put in the pocket on the other one. First of all, I did some more of these tags. Now this one, let's see, I've got to figure out where to, okay, such a different camera angle. I put a little cheesecloth behind it, and then I took one of my little hearts that I punched out and just glued it on there. The rest of them are done, and I forgot to do the cheesecloth behind, but I can still glue a heart on them. So they just need a seam binding ribbon in there. And then the other thing I did for one of the other pockets was I took these jeweler's envelopes or layaway envelopes with the long flap in the back, and I have these in my shop. I had the craft colored ones, and all I have left are they're light blue. I don't know what they look like on camera. It looks a little white, but they're pretty light blue. I'll have to order some more craft ones. I'm kind of waiting to see if the light blue ones take off, to see if I should order some more of those. I have 6 more sets of these, and I don't know if I should order some of these or just the craft ones. So anyway, I took one of these. I wanted to try to figure out what I could do with these, and I still have a lot of playing around to do with them, but here's what I did. First, I used Mod Podge and napkins, and this is a napkin with cupcakes and sweet treats on it someone had sent me, and since I was doing a book with a lot of children's images, I thought this was cute. So it has cupcakes on it, and there's another cupcake on that side. So you can write here, and even on the flap, and then you can put something inside the pocket. So there's a lot of real estate on one of these, even though I've covered up a flap. One of the problems I have is covering up writing space, because it's a journal. You need space to write, and I like these interesting things with lines on them, like ledgers and these kind of things. But I went ahead and covered up the flap. There's still lots of room. Here's another napkin with a bird on it. So pretty. And a little piece of that napkin in the corner on the front. And then on the craft ones, I used a doll dress pattern. I like the doll dress pattern because this is a small space, and with a regular pattern piece, you're not going to have all these lines. You might end up with just empty tissue paper. But with the doll pattern, the pieces are so small that you get a lot of interesting lines in a small space. So this is a vintage doll pattern, and I put a little piece of the instructions on that side. And then I took an old ledger from 1918 that had been written on in pencil, and I tried that. It's a nice smooth finish. I like the way it feels, and I like the way it looks. I might do some more embellishing on it, and then there's just a little piece on the front. The only thing about that is you can't see the lines. It's opaque. So with all the napkin and the pattern tissue, you can see the lines from the envelope through. So one of these, probably the cupcakes, will go in one of the pockets I'm going to make. The other pocket just had one of those tags that I showed, plus a coffee dyed index card. And since Beatrice doesn't want coffee dyeing, I'll just put one of my plain colored index cards in there. So I'll move my box of bead sack fabric here so you can kind of see, and I'm going to find a piece to match each of these papers. Not match, but coordinate. I like this red with the strawberries. That one was easy. Look at, she gave me this piece with seam binding stitched around it. This piece is going to go in one of my Homebodies journals, which I'm so excited about making. I'm getting close to where I can actually start making them. Which reminds me, I want to say that I won't be able to take any more custom orders for a while. I still have, it's either 13 or 14 custom orders to do. And some of them are for one customer who wants them spaced out, which is great because I can make one and then I can do a lot of other things before I make another one. And I want to say I am so grateful that you guys want journals and that you ask me to do a journal for you and you don't mind waiting. Whenever I say you have to wait because I have a list, plus I do other things in between the custom orders, and you are all fine with that. You guys are just so wonderful. I am so grateful for your support, and I really don't want you to think that I don't appreciate this. So just temporarily, I think I'll use that one. Temporarily, I want to not take custom orders until I can get caught up and get some of my projects that I want to do done. Like the domestic arts, and I want to do some golden books. I've got so many golden books that I want to do. And some fabric covered journals and things like that. So I'm going to continue working on the custom orders that I do have, and happily. And once I'm ready to start taking orders again, I will let you know. And I just want to make sure you know I really appreciate all of your support, and I can't even believe that I'm at the point where I have to say I have to stop taking orders because you guys have been so great. And I don't know if I told you my news. Now I'm just cutting this piece to fit to make a pocket here, and before I get on to my news, I want to say I'm going to make these just like I would any other kind of fabric pocket, except that some of these have a looser weave. This one's not bad. It's pretty solid, but I'll do it on this one too. Some of the feed sack fabrics have a looser weave, and just to give them a little extra support, let me show you one. Here's one from the other journal. I just sewed a strip of muslin and some rickrack on it to just give a little more stability to the top, and it looks decorative too. So that's what we're going to do with these. And since Beatrice doesn't want coffee dye, she's going to get just a plain strip of muslin without coffee dye. Okay, so my news is that I am retired. For various reasons, I left my job, which was only a part-time job. I didn't work very many hours, so it's not like I'm losing a lot of money. But I've been wanting to have more time to focus on my Etsy shop. One of my goals for this year was to expand my shop, which I have. I've included a lot of new items, not just my journals. Because, and this is another thing that is just so super awesome, you guys. And again, I'm so appreciative. When I list a journal in my shop, it doesn't stay there very long, and it's amazing. It still amazes me. And I love it. So I wanted to have other things in there too. So if you've been to my shop, you've seen that I've had a lot of other items, some new, and now that it's flea market season again, I'll be having more vintage stuff in there also. So I want to be able to keep up with all of that stuff, plus all of my journals that I want to make. My creative juices just are leaking out all over. And I just have wanted to focus on that. So I was praying about it, and I feel that with circumstances at work, and it wasn't Hallmark, it was Walmart they just kept making things more difficult because I stocked the cards at Walmart. And the last straw came last week. And so I gave my notice. I was on vacation this week. So this is my last week of work, except that I'm on vacation. So technically I'm retired, and I get to, this is actually my first day. I'm going to use the zigzag stitch to stitch this. It's not moving forward. There we go. To stitch this rickrack and muslin on at the same time. If I can save steps, I will. Without causing lower quality in the product. So anyway, that's my news. I get to focus more on my shop, and I'm very, very excited about it. So that way I can get caught up with my custom orders sooner and get back to taking orders. A couple of my orders are, one is for Halloween and one is for Christmas, so those can wait a while too. But like I said, every single one of the people that ordered is willing to patiently wait, and I really appreciate that. I didn't want to change that. I want to do zigzag still. Whoop. Alright, my foot just pushed that material right out of the way. So we're gonna put it back where it belongs. Make sure I get the needle down in the fabric to start with so it doesn't push it away, because it was pushing it right off the paper. So how's this angle working? I'll have to watch it. I usually watch my videos back. I have to watch it and see how I think it's working. Isn't that a cute little pocket? That red pattern on strawberry printed paper? That's adorable, if I do say so myself. The other thing I had in this pocket was a coffee dyed perpetual calendar, but I think I have some that aren't coffee dyed, so I can include one in hers too, where I have this weekly time report. Let's see, that's too big. I'll find something to put in there. What else do I need to do to this page? While I have this page out, I'm going to stitch some crochet trim to the other side of it. So at Walmart, the vendors have bin space in the back, and Hallmark has a lot of heavy things. We have big boxes of roll wrap that is very heavy, and I have 3 boxes of it, and they're full and they're heavy. And let me see what I'm doing here before I keep talking. So what Walmart did was they changed where our bin space was, so that my space went vertical, and I had to lift heavy boxes over my head and tip the big, tall, heavy roll wrap on its side in order to get it on the shelf, because it couldn't stand upright anymore because the shelves weren't tall enough. So I would have had to wrestle those big boxes. I'm sorry, you can't see me. I'm putting tape runner on this guest check, and I'm going to sew a flap of fabric, and this will just be regular fabric, not feed sack fabric. So, and my back has been giving me a lot of trouble lately, to the point where I can hardly move. And it's ridiculous to think that I should have to lift boxes like that. And the girl that worked with me is 29 years old and tall, so it's easier for her, but she shouldn't have to do that either. So anyway, when I saw what they had to do, I just shook my head and said, no, I can't do that. And we're not even allowed to climb ladders, and our shelves go up over our heads. So it's Hallmark policy that we don't climb ladders. So I gave my notice, and I felt like that was God's answer, because I had just been praying while I was working that day for wisdom and making a decision on how long I should keep working, when all I want to do is work on my shop. And then that happened. So I felt like that was God giving me an answer. And I feel like He'll provide. He will provide for me. And you guys are very good at supporting my shop, so I'm not worried. Alright, so while I was jabbering away, I'm sure you saw what I was doing. I just selected another piece of red fabric, polka dotted fabric, and some lace, just to make a little flip. And there's a journaling space there. And then I will stamp something on this when I get to the stamping phase. So there's one page. I don't know if you want to watch me do another page. So I'll do another page, and if you don't want to watch, you can turn the video off, right? This one is hemmed. I wonder what this came off. It's got a very neat hem on it. Machine stitched. But I don't want it that way because it's too narrow. Another piece of non-dyed muslin. I love muslin. In the 80s, I made a lot of crafts that I took to craft shows and sold, and I made, because the country style was big in the 80s, and I loved it. And I made these little country style muslin rabbits and bears with dresses on, and sold them in the craft shows. It was so much fun. And I coffee dyed muslin back then too. So when I started out crafting, most of my crafts were fabric, sewing. Okay, rickrack. I need rickrack. I think a yellow would be nice to bring out that yellow. Do I have yellow rickrack? I have this gold rickrack. Not much of it, but I don't need much. You can see a little part of my big mess here, but if you could stand in here and look around at my room. Oh, this is the messy phase. I already made one book, so I've got fabrics and laces all over, and my papers all over, and then my stamps all over on the other table. So it's still out. I don't put it away because I'm making another book with all the same kind of things in it. So once I get this book made, then I can clean everything up again and then start making another mess. I don't like it when it gets to this messy phase. But I don't like taking the time to clean up either when I just want to be creative. There we go. zigzag kind of went off the rickrack there. I'm still sitting at an awkward angle so I can have the sewing machine in your view. That's my excuse. Again, it's pushing the fabric. I think this presser foot pushes the fabric and stuff more than my other one did. I'm not used to it. So, see, it pushed the fabric down so that it came off the paper. So I'll just trim that off. So I've got to learn to watch out for that. So there's that. And sew some trim to this edge. And a fabric flip with a guess check again. Are you getting bored yet? Trying to think of something amusing to say. Obviously, I can't think of anything. So, just watch. Okay, what kind of fabric do I want here? Got this quilt piece that my mother cut out. That's kind of cool. Just trying to think what kind of accent I want on it. I put lace on the other one. I think I'll just put a piece of fabric on this one. And maybe a little piece of the feedsack fabric. Just a little tiny scrap. Right there. See, I just grab whatever little scraps, snippets are on my desk. Okay, so I can sew all of this together, but I'll sew this little patch on. I got smart, and if you watched before when I was sewing and pushing my sewing machine back and forth, it made an awful noise. But I brought up this little thing that's supposed to be under your coffee pot. I had one of these downstairs. So I put that under my sewing machine, and it slides so nicely and doesn't make an awful noise. I love it. I don't drink coffee. So after my husband died, I sold the coffee pots in a rummage sale. And now I have that. We had 2 of them, so I could wash one and he could still have one. So I have one under my big KitchenAid mixer downstairs, so I can slide that back and forth. There it goes, pushing my lace out of the way. Okay. Wow, 26 minutes for this one. I don't know if I've ever done one that long before. So you watched me do 2 sets of pages on this video. I'll stop the camera and we'll see what's next on the docket.